This is question 2 of LSAT 158's fourth and final section overall and the final logical reasoning section of the exam. As always, we've got a highlight tool already selected, and we're going to read the question stem before engaging the columnist argument. So it reads, the reasoning in the columnist argument is most vulnerable to criticism on the grounds that the argument blank. So I'm going to highlight most vulnerable to criticism and know that this is just indicating that we need to identify a flaw in the columnist argument. So we're going to read the columnist statements, identify the conclusion, highlight that conclusion, and then consider whether we can predict what might be a flaw for what should be a relatively predictable question type this early in the section. So reading the columnist statements, making some types of products from recycled materials is probably as damaging to the environment as it would be to make those products from entirely non-recycled materials. The recycling process for those products requires as much energy as producing them from raw materials, and almost all energy production damages the environment. Now, this should be a relatively easily identified conclusion, and the term probably is a great indicator of what the prediction should be of the conclusion, because it's like this is what the columnist thinks is happening. So what I think is happening is my opinion of what's happening, and that leads us to identifying the first sentence as the columnist conclusion. Now we want to think just a moment critically about how the columnist gets to that conclusion. The columnist says that making products from recycled materials is probably as damaging to the environment as making them from non-recycled materials, but the evidence is solely about the requirement of as much energy to produce as recycled versus raw materials, and energy production damages the environment. So we want to note the term specifically to make a potential prediction, and we want to think to ourselves, well, damaging the environment and being equally damaging can't be predicated solely based off of the energy that's used. So we want to find an answer choice that hits on this idea that just because the energy use might be the same doesn't mean that the amount of damage to the environment overall is the same. So we've got that mental prediction in mind as we move to the answer choices starting with A. So the argument uses the word environment in one sense in a premise and in a different sense in the conclusion drawn from that premise. Well, it's not about a conflation of the definition of environment, it's just environment. So this just simply isn't the flaw that's present. So we highlight that and we can eliminate choice A. Next, choice B treats an effect of energy related damage to the environment as if it were instead a cause of such damage. Well, there's no cause and effect in our flaw. So we could just highlight cause and effect since we've got a good prediction of just saying these terms maybe extrapolate too much. We don't take too much time evaluating choice B. We just know that it doesn't match our predicted flaw. Next, choice C fails to consider that the particular types of recycled products that it cites may not be representative of recycled products in general. Well, there are no particular types of recycled products. It just says some types. So there is no particularity. So we can eliminate choice C. For that reason, it's just not relevant to the specific population in the conclusion. Next, choice D fails to consider that making products from recycled materials may have environmental benefits unrelated to energy consumption. And that's exactly what we predicted broadly, just kind of the flip side of the coin. It's talking about the benefits as opposed to the damage. But D absolutely broadly matches our mental prediction, saying that the energy consumption damage isn't the only thing that could be good for the environment from recycled materials. So we should be able to select D proactively at this point. But for completion's sake, if we look at choice E, presumes that simply because one phenomenon follows another phenomenon, the earlier phenomenon must be a cause of the later one. Well, there's no causality, there's no chronology. So just that idea of timing would allow us to eliminate choice E. And of course, the correct answer here is D. And you can see how a good prediction can help you get there more expeditiously.